And now to this week's news. We're at the Reporters Roundtable, where I'm happy to be joined by Yancey Roy of Newsday and Keisha Kluge from Bloomberg Government. Thanks very much for coming in. So we are now talking about a week after this incident in Rochester where gubernatorial candidate Lee Zeldin was accosted by a man wielding a sharp implement. And that incident has been sucked into the ongoing debate pressed by Republicans statewide over bail reform and other criminal justice changes, specifically over the charge that this gentleman is facing.
Yeah, you know, he is charged with what's considered really a nonviolent felony, ostensibly because no injuries occurred, as I understand it and other reporters understand it. So if you're charged with a nonviolent felony, that's not subject to bail. And so he's been released, but he's been charged with federal crimes, as we know, and he's now under detention. It sort of gets at the issue of when do judges have discretion? And they don't really have discretion under a lot of charges right now, under a lot of crimes. But the issue is really whether people who are released go on to commit other crimes. And as we've reported and your paper has reported, that doesn't happen very often. In fact, in the last 12 months, the rearrest rate has kind of gone down from what it was through the first 12 months of bail reform.
This also is an issue because the district attorney in Monroe County, Sandra Dorley, was at least briefly a co-chair of Zeldin's campaign.
Yes, and I believe she tried to recuse herself from this, and there was a lot of discussion. I think the bigger picture on this is, you know, crime is already a huge issue with the campaign season going on. It's going to be a major topic in the governor's race. And Lee Zeldin now has this, you know, real life example that he is touting on this. And I think Kathy Hochul is going to have to find some way to meet in the middle on it, or at least address it in terms of voters.
We've also seen Eric Adams, mayor of New York City, of course, weighing in this week and saying it's time for the legislature to come back for an extraordinary session to further address, to, as it were, roll back the bail law changes. That does not appear to be in the offing, correct?
Yeah, I believe they said absolutely not. They've already come back for a special session, and they don't necessarily want to come back. A lot of them are, because there's 2 primaries this year, a lot of people are out on the road for their campaigns, and Kathy Hochul herself is campaigning, and yeah, so I don't think we'll see them come back, but it really depends on what happens, I guess, as we see the polling numbers.
Right.
Yeah, Carl Hastie, the Assembly Speaker, has flat out said no, and he even said that some of the examples that Eric Adams is citing have already been addressed in some of the amendments that they made through bail law reform.
Keisha, you had a fascinating story about changes that the state is making to sort of training and protocols around sexual harassment and other forms of abuse and toxic workplace atmospheres, kind of customizing it, as it were, for the age of the remote workplace.
Yes, yes. So every 4 years, this sexual harassment model policy has to be redone and you know, put into the current times. So we spoke with employment attorneys and the State Business Council about what these new changes to the policy could look like. And the issue is that businesses would theoretically have to update their policies to match the state. And Zoom has changed our lives dramatically in the past few years with the coronavirus. And so those experts were saying that it should be updated with Zoom in mind, because you can still have sexual harassment over Zoom. There's also needs to be some updates to align with some of the state laws that had been put in place. We made it easier for employees to bring up sexual harassment claims. That needs to be addressed and elaborated on a little bit more. We've got a new sexual harassment hotline that should be put into the model policy. And then also potentially adding some other protected classes like, you know, race and as well as sex, national origin, things like that. So they're collecting comments till September 20th, and we'll see what that new policy includes.
The more platforms, the more complications potentially for sexual harassment in the workplace. Yancey, meanwhile, we're talking about 3 weeks away from the state Senate and congressional primaries. Nobody covers Long Island better than Newsday. What are some of the races that you and yours are going to be watching as we tick down to early voting beginning?
Yeah, it's sort of unprecedented on Long Island. There are 4 congressional seats. 3 of them are wide open. No incumbent running for them. That's never happened before. And in the 4th seat, there is an incumbent, a guy who's been there all of a year and a half right now. So the main things to watch are Democratic actions in Nassau. You've got a 3-way race to fill Kathleen Rice's seat. You got a 5-way race to fill Tom Suozzi's seat. The Republican action more in Suffolk, where the general theme is party-backed guys trying to fend off Trump supporters in primaries. And then there's a fascinating state Senate primary. For the first time ever under redistricting, the state has created a plurality Hispanic district on Long Island. First time that's happened. And you've got 2 candidates, veteran candidates going there, Monica Martinez and Phil Ramos, sort of for the direction of the party there in Suffolk County.
Of course, Long Island used to be seen in the state Senate as a bastion for Republicans. Is there any chance that they will experience a resurgence of that?
Oh, I think they are definitely predicting that. Right now, it's 5 Democrats and 4 Republicans. The Republicans think they will get back a majority of the block of 9 Long Island seats. But there's going to be some races where they're clearly Republican seats. There's some that at least 2 that the Democrats are going to win, and then all the rest are up for grabs.
Meanwhile, sort of expanding the picture a little bit, there was this interesting sort of social media scissor fight between Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Jessica Ramos this week, where there was some sniping specifically from Ramos. Do we know what's behind that?
Well, I think what we're seeing is general dissatisfaction, maybe from some people on the left, basically saying that they think Ocasio-Cortez, while as being the face of the left in New York, hasn't been as effective as some people would want.
Yancey, of course, this is likely to be an extremely narrow battle for control of the House of Representatives. Are there prospects for Long Island to essentially be the decider?
Well, it's going to factor in for sure. Long Island is considered like one of the more purple areas of the state, where it kind of fluctuates between Republican and Democratic control. Right now, Republicans have 2 of the 4 seats, Democrats have the other 2, but really all of them are kind of up for grabs. In the Kathleen Rice seat, probably the leading Democrat right now is Laura Gillen, who is the Hempstead town supervisor, trying to revive her career. And the really interesting one is the Suozzi seat. The Republicans are all behind George Santos and think that they have a shot to win that, even though it's a slightly Democratic seat. And the question is, among these 5 Democrats who are battling, after it's all over in August, are they all going to unite behind the person?
Right.
Or is the candidate going to be damaged by the primary? Is the person going to come out to be too far left, too far right for the party to get behind?
All right, well, that's where we're going to have to leave it. So thanks very much to Yancey Roy from Newsday and Keisha Kluge from Bloomberg Government. We really appreciate your coming in.
Thanks for having us.